Story number 1. Needed a break. Went to a bar alone for the first time. Not trying to meet anyone. Just wanted to drink and be left alone. Sat at the counter. Ordered something simple. A guy a few seats over kept glancing. Didn't think much of it. Eventually he moved closer. Started talking. Asked what I was drinking, if I came alone, if I lived nearby. I kept answers short, hoping he'd get the hint. He didn't. He leaned in more. Said I looked too good to be sitting alone. Tried to joke around. I fake laughed once to end it, but he stayed. Then he touched my leg. Just rested his hand there like it was normal. I pushed it off and told him not to touch me. He smirked and said to calm down, that he was being friendly. I didn't respond. Turned away from him, and a few minutes later I got up to go to the bathroom. Then he followed me. I waited outside the hallway, and when I came out he was already standing there, and he said I should come and sit with him. I said no. Then he moved in closer and said I owed him attention for leading him on. This made me freeze for a second, and then someone else walked by and saw what was going on. They told the guy to back off and walked me back to the bar. I sat at the far end until I was ready to leave, but I didn't finish my drink. Midnight. Left by myself, and I didn't tell the bouncer, didn't report anything. I just wanted to go home. Still not sure if I handled it right. But I was done. Story number 2. We reconnected in 2022, but the story didn't start there. It started back in 2014, 2015. I met her in Europe. We spent 5 straight days together, barely left the apartment except to get food. The sex, to this day, nothing has ever come close. But it was more than that. It was deep. Intense. Something cracked open in me. I didn't say it then, but I think I fell in love with her during those 5 days. When I left Europe, I told myself it was just a fling. She had just broken up with her boyfriend. I figured I was a rebound. But the truth is, I never stopped thinking about her. I thought I was crazy for still holding on, but I never let it go. Then in 2022, she messaged me out of nowhere on Facebook. She was on a work trip in California. Said she thought of me and wanted to know if I still lived out there. She wanted to see me. And when we met again, it was like no time had passed. We hugged, we held hands. It felt natural. Familiar. Like nothing had ever ended. We kept in contact. Started with WhatsApp. Eventually, she had me download Snapchat, and from there, it was constant. All day. Every day texting, voice notes, sharing everything. Deep conversations. Sexual tension. Emotional intimacy. I don't even like texting. But with her, I wanted to. I looked forward to it. But she still had a boyfriend. That never left my mind. There were times I had to pull back. I needed space. It was killing my mental health. She said she understood, but then she used it against me. She made me feel like I was the one disappearing. Then her 30th birthday came, last July. She went on a girls' trip through California, LA, Vegas, and San Diego. She told me she wanted to see me again. I was unemployed. Barely had any money, but I said yes. Because it was her. And she meant something to me. After her trip with her friends ended, she stayed behind in San Diego just to be with me. The moment I saw her, I couldn't keep my hands off her. And she didn't stop me. We kissed. We touched. We slept together. That was when she cheated on her boyfriend. With me. But in that moment, it didn't feel like cheating. It felt like we were together, like we finally had what we were always circling around. We flew to Boston together after that. The whole trip, we acted like a couple, kissing. Laughing. Holding hands. Hooking up, completely locked into each other. It felt like something real. And when it ended, it hurt. We were in the airport, holding each other, crying. Neither of us wanted it to be over. But it was. That was the peak and the beginning of the end. After the trip, she went back to her life. Back to her boyfriend. She stayed with him for months. And only later, she told me she eventually confessed about us. Then she broke up with him. And that's when she started therapy. But even in therapy, she never mentioned me. She told me that herself. After everything we shared, I wasn't even worth a name in her process of healing. She used therapy to feel better, not to be better. She wanted to get past the guilt, not face what she actually did to me. And when I finally tried to speak my truth, I tried to tell her what I went through, how she compartmentalized me, how she erased me. She snapped, called me the victim. Said I made it all up. Said she had her version and I had mine. But I know what I lived. I know how I loved her. And I know how deeply I showed up, in ways she never did. Maybe to her, I was just a distraction. A fantasy, something to make her feel alive while she felt trapped. But to me, she was the one I never stopped thinking about. The one I waited for. The one I gave myself to, even when it hurt, even when I knew the risk. She showed me what it feels like to love someone who can't face their own reflection. She taught me that some people will ask for your heart, then run the second they feel it in their hands. I loved her. And I probably always will in some way. But now all I have is silence. And the truth that I was never really part of her story, just someone she kept in the shadows. And now I have to live with that, somehow let that be enough. Story number 3. Years ago, both my biological mother and grandmother told me a chilling story, that my grandmother had intentionally set her house on fire while her partner was asleep inside. We called her Grandma Sharon. I was just a toddler at the time, so my memories are hazy. I don't recall a funeral, or even a real explanation. Based on what I pieced together, this likely happened around 1999 or 2000. In the 2010s, I brought it up with my biological grandfather. He told me he had gone to the police when it happened and asked them to investigate my grandmother. But nothing came of it. He believes that because the women were in a same-sex relationship, the case wasn't taken seriously. This story has haunted me for years. Is there any way to verify whether this incident really happened, or to find records from that time? And if so, would it still be worth bringing to someone's attention? Story number 4. I, 24F, can't stop falling in love with my best friend H, 26M. We've known each other for over 10 years, through middle school, high school, college, and now the beginnings of our professional careers. I have been in love with my best friend on and off since knowing him. For a long time, I was really just my brother's little sister to him. The age gap when we were younger was more pronounced, so it was mostly just a crush. In high school, our friendship independent of my brother started to blossom, and as we became closer, feelings developed again. I never acted on them, because I was a sophomore hanging out with seniors, and felt like he would only see me as a kid. In college, I dated a few guys, he had a few long-term girlfriends. It was always so refreshing to see him during the holidays. It felt like we simply picked up exactly where we left off, despite the time and distance. This March, H, myself, and another one of our friends all moved in together. I have had many roommates, but my apartments have never felt quite like home as quickly or as genuinely as they have when living with the two of them. We all are so comfortable talking to each other and take any conflict seriously. H and I have developed a bond in the past few years that I don't share with other friends. He once told me what he loves most about our friendship is that we can be across the room, witness the same thing, and meet eyes knowing exactly what the other person is thinking on an unspoken level. We can just laugh and feel safe in the feeling of being understood. We have such similar temperaments, perspectives on what we want our futures to look like, kids, romance, the list goes on. If you would talk about it with a romantic partner, we've talked about it, and align well on it. When we moved in together, it felt like our friendship was on steroids. Finishing each other's sentences, finding the same micro-expression our friend made hilarious, and so on. Our third friend likes to go to bed early, so the two of us often stay up talking, laughing, having a smoke. H and I can spend hours in silence, just doing our own thing. We have separate lives, separate friends, but spending time with him is like coming home to a warm hug after a long day. He is so kind and emotionally intelligent. He cares for his friends with a depth I see in few others. Not to mention, he's also one of the smartest people I know. He always takes the time to teach and explain things to me whenever I'm interested in them. He can lecture about pretty much anything, but he makes it so accessible, and never makes me feel stupid for not knowing foundational concepts. He always knows how to make me laugh. We have deep conversations about every possible topic. His presence is something that makes me look inward, reflect, and change. I know for a fact that I am a better person for knowing him. I decided to confess last month. We were at a concert and had gotten pretty high, but were coming down near the end of the set. I leaned over to him and simply said, "I have feelings for you, but I don't want them to get in the way of our friendship." He replied, "Thank you for letting me know. I'm sorry, I don't feel the same." A few tears leaked out on my end, but the world didn't end and we enjoyed the rest of the concert. On our way home, he told me that if he could flip a switch and suddenly return my feelings, he would. He went on and on, telling me how beautiful, kind, smart, talented, funny I am, and more. Truly, he went on long enough that I made a joke about it, telling him he should keep going. I didn't really know what to do. It felt like I had a hangnail that I couldn't seem to get rid of. I thought that telling him how I feel would let me put my feelings to rest, but there was this constant what if, hanging over me. What is it that's stopping him from returning my feelings? I knew it wasn't fair to him to entertain those thoughts, but it was hard to let things lie when he gave me a conditional statement as closure. A couple weeks ago, we smoked together and talked for hours, well into the night. Through our conversation, I found closure in my romance woes. I was excited with this new outlook on life, feeling like I could move through this new city, excited to meet new people. It genuinely felt like at that moment I lost all feelings for H, so I told him that. He was clearly excited at the idea of not having to be so careful with how he interacted with me as to not hurt me. Now, here I am, freaking out because I'm falling in love with him all over again. It feels like I've started from scratch. I fall harder with every joke he makes, the way he sings terribly, the way he tilts his head to listen to me talk while we smoke on the porch. I take an extra hit every time because I hope our fingers will brush again after passing the bowl. Like, what am I even doing? I know he doesn't have feelings for me. I know there's nothing I could, or should, change that would create a new outcome. But I am falling in love with him for the third time. I wish I could stop getting my wires crossed. Our platonic love is so strong it must be bleeding into my idea of what I want my romantic love to be like. It's worse because people keep bringing up how we should be together. Strangers mistake us for a couple, friends have told me our relationship looks romantic from the outside, relatives ask if we've gotten together yet. I am trying to stop these feelings from developing again, but I just don't know what to do at this point. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. It's hard to rehash this with many of my close friends because this issue should be resolved and done now that I confessed. I don't want to reopen this because I hate when people drag out a little piece of drama forever. I don't want to have to live with these feelings forever. I just want it to be over.